I'm now delighted to be joined online by Josh Radnor to discuss the upcoming hit show here in Ireland on channel Amazon Prime, Hunters. Hunters show is about a diverse band of Nazi hunters living in 1977 New York City. And Josh Radnor plays the character Lonny Flash. And I suppose, Josh, first of all, a serious topic in relation to Nazi hunters. But in relation to the subject itself, you sort of mix the serious with the violence, but with the comedy and humour as well. It's an interesting mix.
Yes. I mean, I loved, part of the reason I wanted to do the series was I loved the mix of this incredibly serious topic about, marginalization and genocide and oppression and all this stuff. And then my character, who is fully, participating in the hunt of these Nazis, but also gets to, get some of these great, hilarious laugh lines. But I think it's a great mix, where there is all this. Sorry, there's a phone ringing here. Where there's sorry about that.
Yep. And And I suppose, Josh, as well, we know about the Nazi hunters and in special to the Israel connection, the Jewish connection, going over all South America hunting these people. But you bring it to the topic of New York City and bring a sort of American twist. But there's a bit of truth behind that as well, I do believe.
It's not exactly a true story, but it's certainly inspired by true events. There was something called Operation Paperclip that I learned about while I was working on the show, that after the war ended, there was this kind of competition between the Russians and the Americans to get the mostly scientists, the Nazi scientists, because the Cold War was on immediately after World War II. So the U.S., it is true, brought over a number of Nazi scientists and other high-ranking Nazis and just kind of folded them into American life. So some of that is actually based in real stuff.
Yeah, and I suppose, Josh, working under executive producer Jordan Peele, what was his sort of vision that he wanted to bring from script to real-life TV air, to the viewing air? What sort of message or what was the vision that he wanted to bring across with this TV series?
Well, the show was created by a guy named David Weil, whose grandmother was actually a survivor of Auschwitz and one other concentration camp. So he was friends with Jordan, and about 5 years ago when he was writing the script, he brought it to Jordan, and Jordan was creating Get Out at the time, and it fell under the umbrella of the kind of stuff that Jordan wanted to be working on. So Jordan signed on as an executive producer, and he kind of shepherded and godfathered and protected the project and brought it through to the air.
And I suppose, Josh, for yourself, I know you've been on hit TV series in the past, but when this opportunity came about and was it presented you by your agent, were you handpicked, or did you have to try out and audition for the role, or was it a case that your agent said, listen, I've got this character, I think someone met you, the Lonny Flash, I think it would really appeal to you, and how did that come about, that selection process?
Well, I did end up reading for the role, and I didn't know that they really wanted me for it, but they kind of asked everyone to read for it, which is fine, actually. I don't mind auditioning for a role if I feel like it's something I need to prove, A lot of times, after you've done something for a while, people assume that's all you do or all you can do. So you have to kind of, be willing to help people understand that there's many, many, many sides to you as an actor and artist and all that. So, it was very quick. I read one day, I heard they were really interested the next day. A couple days later, I had the part. I didn't have to jump through a ton of hoops. But once I heard the premise of it and the cast that was involved, when you hear, you want to play a movie star from the 1970s who also hunts Nazis alongside Al Pacino, it's kind of a no-brainer. You want to do that.
Yeah, and I suppose, Josh, working with the great man himself, Al Pacino, and the sort of the character, the role that he brings to the hunters in Mayor Offerman, what sort of sort of working beside Al, what sort of vision that he wanted to bring? And I know about his serious professionalism as an actor, but a serious topic nonetheless, and I suppose a sensitive subject that you have to be very careful about how you detail it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Al brings, half a century of some of the greatest screen acting in the, history of cinema to a set, which is both daunting and inspiring. You definitely want to be on your, it keeps you on your toes, just the very presence of him on set. But he also, he had never done a TV show before, so he was in a new situation of, he had never signed on to something that he hadn't read the last page of. So he, like all of us, got to read a couple episodes, and then it's a leap of faith doing TV. You got to trust the vision of the creators and trust that they're casting you for the right reasons. But he was a delight ultimately because once he kind of relaxed around us and realized that we were up to the task and he could trust us and he could trust the directors and trust the vision that he was a part of, it was just a joy. I mean, he's a really great artist. I mean, truly, there's no part of him that's phoning it in. There's no part of him that's resting on his laurels. He's hungry like fresh out of the gate. He's hungry and he's relentless in his pursuit of the truth. But it was also great to just work alongside him and be like, yeah, he's doing what I do. He's just better at it than everyone. He's and he also. We could ask him all these questions and he would tell all these stories about his career. And so, those 6 months working with him, I'll value for the rest of my life.
And I suppose, tell me more about your character now, Lonny Flash. And when you first got described the sort of role about him, I suppose a hipster type of guy as in the 70s, probably, as you said, Din, he is this secret mission where he's hunting Nazis. And what sort of vibes did you want to bring across, or what sort of characteristics did you want to make Lonny shine out in the series?
Well, a lot of the show is about masks on some level. It's about, obviously the obvious one of Nazis hiding out, posing as Americans. That's one level of mask. But then there's this kind of mask of every other character has, they have one face they show the world and another face they might be in private, which I think is, true about humans. We have a presentable image and then we have this private image. And Lonny, he's a Jewish guy from New Jersey named Leonard Flashenstein, who's a really brilliant actor. He won a Tony Award when he was really young, fresh out of the gate. And he comes to Hollywood and he changes his name to Lonny Flash and he starts doing all these drugs and sleeping with all these women and he falls into this whole kind of world and he starts feeling what I thought. He started feeling spiritually empty. He's addicted to everything. And he's just recently gotten sober and he's trying to remake his life and find out who he is again and touch something that feels real and sustainable. And his way of kind of, staying sober and reconnecting with deeper things is by hunting Nazis. To each his own. That's kind of what he's doing. I found, I didn't have to do a ton of research on World War II and the Holocaust. I knew a lot about that. What I did throw myself into, though, was research on the 1970s, on the film scene. I watched a lot of great classic 70s films, a lot of which Al Pacino was in. And then I read this great book called Easy Riders, Raging Bulls, which is all about the 1970s film era, which was just completely insane. None of that stuff would fly today, but it really helped me kind of just get under the skin of this guy and see the culture that he had emerged from. When you get cast in a role, there's a lot of you that resonates, or you won't be able to play it. So it's not like I'm like this guy, but there's some part of him I really felt like I had access to and really understood.
Yeah, and I suppose your group of Nazi hunters, dare I say it, you're probably in the middle. You're not the good or the bad. You have the good in relation to the Jerrika Hinton, who plays Millie Morris, the police officer trying to discover ye, and in the bad is actually the sort of Nazis that are hiding out themselves. You're sort of somewhere in the middle. You don't proclaim yourselves to be the good guys, but then again, you're not proclaiming yourself to be the bad guys either. Is that a fair assessment?
I suppose. I mean, I think a big part of the series, a big question is like, if you're trying to do good by killing bad guys, you become bad by doing that.
Yeah.
You know, does seeking revenge turn you into the very monster you're trying to eradicate? And that's a big, huge part of the show. I mean, I think Lonny falls into it in a way, as he says to Jonah in episode 2. You know, it's just like the movies. He really likes living this real life action film. And then when blood starts getting spilled and torture starts happening along with Jonah, his resolve weakens a little bit, and he starts going, what are we doing? Like, this is crazy. I don't know if this feels right. And I think that those are just human questions that are, you know, they're perennial human questions that arise when we try, you know, what is justice? What is forgiveness? Like, there are really big questions at the heart of this thing.
Yeah, and I suppose, Josh, you have shot 10 episodes. We have episode 1 debuted on February the 21st here in Ireland on Channel Amazon Prime. I just want to ask you, Josh, about the actual production week on set in terms of shooting an episode for Hunters. From the time you had your initial table read, maybe in relation, did you do block shooting, and how long did it take to actually shoot one episode of Hunters?
I think the pilot took quite a long time, but we only come in at the way end of the pilot, Hunters. I think that an episode was something like 9 days, maybe.
Okay.
Somewhere between 8 and 10 days. I'm not exactly sure. But we also would do what's called crossboarding a lot. So, like one director, you know, like a director, Wayne Yip, directed episodes 2 and 3. And we shot those together over the course of 3 weeks. So you were shooting episodes 2 and 3, and a lot of times you have to say the script to Russell. What episode is this? Like, you know, it gets confusing because you're shooting everything out of order, so you've got to hold the whole script in your head and know where you're at when you're shooting. But yeah, I mean, I'd say it was about a 9-day shoot per episode, maybe 10. I can't recall exactly.
Yeah, and I suppose, Josh, if you look at the cast, I suppose one of the main prominents in the cast, you mentioned him, is Logan Lerman. We have Jerrika Hinton Lena Olin, who plays the Colonel, Saul Rubinek, who plays Maury Matchowitz, Tiffany Boone, Roxy Jones, Al Pacino, Louis Osawi, who plays Joe Mishimuma. But the one thing that struck out to me is the great female actress, the pioneer herself, Carol Kane, also in the cast. And Carol is such a professional, a woman that has done so many brilliant stuff throughout the years.
Oh, she's the best. She's a living legend to me, both in terms of like comedy and drama, and her film career and television career is, you know, theater career too. Her and Al worked together in the theater years ago. They did 2 movies together, including Dog Day Afternoon. So it was really fun to watch her and Al, after all these years, reunite in a show. But Carol became a very dear friend, and I cannot speak highly enough of her as a person and as an actress. She's an incredible actor, and just a swell human. So, you know, one of the things I love about being a professional actor is you get to work with a lot of your heroes. You get to work with people you know, things go well. You get to work with people you've really admired for a long time, and that was the case here for sure.
And I suppose, Josh Radnor, before we let you go, we'll turn it over to your own character now, Lonny Flash, for the final 30 seconds. He might lighten all our audience here in Ireland why they should tune in next week for episode 2 of Hunters and what's in store for them. So over to you, Lonny Flash, for the final 30 seconds. Take it away.
I'm sorry, you wanted me to say what? Why they should tune in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, the story is thrilling and scary and hilarious, and it's really about something, and it's a really really, I keep hearing from people is that I watched the first episode, then I watched the second episode, then I watched the third episode, and the next thing I knew I'd watched all 10.
Yeah.
So, if you're in for a great 10 hours of bingeable entertainment, I think it's a great choice.
On that note, Josh Radnor, it's an absolute honour to talk to you on the airways this evening to promote Hunters on channel Amazon Prime. We already had episode 1, we await episode 2. Josh Radnor, we wish you all the best. Hopefully there'll be more upcoming seasons of Hunters, and we wish you also best in your future endeavours for the remainder of 2020. Take care, Josh.